Excellent. Here we are. It's Tuesday, March 16th. I'm your holistic nutrition practitioner. My name is Lucas Simmons. And today, again, it's Tuesday, 1 p.m. This is what happens. We're here to chat about whatever that main topic is for the month. And here on Good Food and You, we are talking all about fatigue and energy levels all month long. So today it's a little bit of a different approach to it. I wanted to be less sciencey and less structured in the delivery of how I was trying to deliver this. I wanted to deliver more the concept of an idea. So first things first, this is not medical advice. If you are struggling with fatigue levels that are too low, energy levels that that find you having to have naps all day long, that stuff needs to be checked out, honey. It could be at the root of so many different things, and you need to rule out some really important stuff first. So if this is your current reality, go get it checked out by your medical doctor, by your specialist, or by your naturopath, because they will be able to help you pinpoint what's going on. Important to know, because somebody like me, there's no diagnosing and there's no figuring out, or, well, we do some root digging to figure out what's maybe at the root piece, but nutrition, the beautiful thing about nutrition is that it's really slow moving and methodical and is kind of the manageable everyday stuff you can do. Western medicine, naturopathic medicine, and the systems that they have access to in terms of bringing you support is amazing for when things are really, really tricky and acute in a current flare-up type scenario. So get that stuff checked out. And when you want to know some of the base pieces to put in place, then call me. Okay, so not medical advice, right? Okay, you know that already. Okay, it's really worth it to do that deep dig to figure out what is happening and what is at the root of your energy levels and that fatigue stuff that's going on. So this week, I wanted to touch a little bit about, the topic today is spring is here. How's your energy? Are you feeling it? And I didn't want to be like poo-poo, you've done something wrong if you don't feel what the energetics are of the season. Instead, I would rather say, okay, here's the deal. There are different energetics at different times of the year, according to the seasons. And the more you start to see the patterns and feel these energetics deeply, and if this feels like gobbledygook, I'm going to challenge you to actually stick around and listen to for a little bit, just to plant a seed for a different possibility for yourself. Okay. When we're talking about different shifts of seasons, right? There's the shift of the sort of late winter into it's soon going to be spring. That's when the shift happens for sure. Some of the stirrings start for some towards the end of January. Others really only feel it when the time change comes. Others really only feel it when the snow is all gone. Like different people pick up on different mechanisms at different times of sort of that spectrum of late winter to early spring. The shift from spring into summer, sometimes quite sudden, and happens typically here in Canada, like June. Or July sometimes, if it's a little bit later of a year. The shift from summer to autumn is a bumpy ride sometimes, and as you get later into autumn, it's that smooth sailing. And then winter, of course, the shift from autumn to winter really is almost, to me, feels like a definitive plump. Now, if you were to put kind of a visual image to the energetics of every season, I'll propose this, and then I'm going to encourage you to go look for those types of signs. So spring is an energy that goes up, right? If you think of it, what's outside? Well, the roots are going to start really getting rich underneath, and you're going to have the new shoots coming up. The energetics, the sun is getting up earlier. There's that lift that comes with spring, right? That sort of like, whew, there's the bears coming out of hibernation. Oh yeah, and moving upwards. The birds, the rabbits. There's so much activity on my front lawn. It's kind of wild. So fun to watch all day long. The kids out on their bikes. The energy's totally different than winter. So the energetics of spring go up. The energetics of summer, you sort of hover in a dreamlike state this way up at the top. And think about it. What if in the summer, plants are an expression, a dreamlike expression of Mother Earth? So the flowers, the plants, the seeds, everything that is going up and sort of hovering at that high frequency or sort of that high energy, that is a dreamlike state. And that's the expression of dreams in the summertime. You're kind of on the next level. It's really like those halcyon days, right? So the high energetics. When you get to fall, well, the word itself, there is the energy of falling. You start to see the plants outside starting to go into the ground. You start to see the leaves falling from the trees onto the ground. We start to retreat inside and spend less time outside because it's starting to get too cold. We're doing less activities outside and we're moving inside. And then you get into, so that's fall, you get into winter. And winter is the hibernation season where it's down low. So your two opposites are winter down here and summer up here. And in between, you've got, I think of them as transition seasons. Spring that's coming out of winter is going up. And then summer's up here, and then fall goes down, and winter's here, and then spring goes up. And those are the rhythms of Mother Nature. Now, here we find ourselves in the early parts of spring. Depending where you are, like the majority of people who check out on Good Food and You are based in and around kind of the mountain area. So you're probably experiencing very similar to what I am. It might be a bit different where you are. You might be a bit ahead. I know I see some friends with trees budding flowers in Vancouver and Victoria. Turkeys. No, good for you. I get to live through it twice. Once through you vicariously, second when it comes here finally in Alberta in June. So the beauty of tapping into these energetics is that you get into a rhythm. And there is a consistency to that rhythm. There is an expectation. You know it's going to come, and it's reassuring when it does come. And I wonder sometimes if, as we lose our connection with what those energetic shifts can be when these seasons come, if we lose touch with it, is that maybe one of the ways that our body talks to us that something's not right? Because our body is expecting it, right? If you think of small children, they look to, like, part of creating festivals and, you know, like this big celebrations like Christmas, like Halloween, Easter, you know, they happen at certain times of year. You start to associate winter. I know as a kid, I used to associate Christmas with clementine oranges and nuts. That was the only time of the year we had those two. You tend to associate the movement of summer into fall. For me, it was the smell of canning in the kitchen when my grandmother and my mom would be making zucchini relish and pickled beets and dill pickles and all types of things, corn relish and all sorts of things to put in the pantry. So as children, there is this safety and warmth that we create following the seasons and kind of doing it in a rhythmic fashion and meeting the energetics of that season. And we start to associate those tasks, if you will, or those things we do at certain times of the year with that season. So here we find ourselves in spring, and the energetics, the natural energetics, are going up. Well, if you're not feeling the energetics going up, are you out of touch? Is your body out of touch? Are you not feeling it? Like, why are you not feeling it? Maybe is what I mean. So, like, are you feeling this drive to go outside more? And if you're not, oh, what's going on? Maybe worth doing a little search for yourself. What's other stuff? Like, do you feel this drive? Like, I suddenly feel this drive to actually plant seeds, and I don't have any seeds. Well, I have calendula, but I don't even want to start calendula or marigolds. I guess I could start marigolds. Anyway, it feels like I'm trying to do too much too quickly, and it's an ongoing joke. We're going to have second winter soon in Alberta anyway, like it always happens. And we should have a third spring by about maybe the first week of June. Like, it's kind of this ongoing joke. If you want to garden in Alberta, you can garden anywhere. If you can be successful in Alberta, you can be successful anywhere. But, you know, the energetics of this sort of upward motion, I have this desire all of a sudden to sprout seeds in my kitchen. So I'm actually making sprouts on a regular basis. And I don't ever feel the need to look for those in other seasons. It just feels right now like, if I think of how my ancestors would have eaten 3, 4, 5 generations ago, when you didn't have kale 12 months of the year, where you depended on the stores that you were able to put up in the pantry with canning. Before canning, it would have been a lot of fermenting, and with anything in the cold storage. What would ancestors be eating right now? Well, they would probably be eating the last of some meats. They would be starting to consider having chicken, so they wouldn't yet have eggs, but it would soon be coming, which is very much a spring food. They would probably be relying on some of those stores. They would hopefully, fingers crossed, still have carrots left if they didn't rot, beets, potatoes, and squash. And the squash you didn't want to eat, like the big fat marrows, right? Right now would be a time where you would be relying on those last resources, crossing your fingers and going out in the yard to see if the lovage is up, if the parsley's coming out, if the sorrel and those perennials are coming up, so that you can start eating. The wild foraging would have, you'd have that sort of stirring in your mind. And that connection with the way that seasons work, with the way that our ancestors moved, if we can reconnect back into that matrix by just listening and just paying attention, I think that the act of even just listening is one of those pieces that can help us bring down some of the stress that's going on around us. Is our body feeling so much stress or anxiety or fear or whatever you want to call it, whatever it looks like for you? Is some of that because deep down you have your ancestors' blood coursing through you going, no, but well, do you know what you have in store? Do you know what you're supposed to be looking for right now? You want to start maybe thinking of sprouting. You want to start maybe thinking of planting seeds for your garden, or what is that connection to ancestral wisdom that's coursing through your veins right now? What is some of the smarts that they would have had that you can tap into? So this is all because there was a post yesterday. I decided on what this topic was going to be, but yesterday when I was trying to figure out how I would bring the content that I wanted to share today, I talked about fierce listening yesterday and listening to how your body's letting you know something's up. And is the lack of this upward energy shift and the lack of feeling it yourself, is that maybe also a way that your body lets you know something's up? But it was further hammered home by a gentleman by the name of Rich Francis. So Rich Francis is from Six Nations of the Grand River. It's a reserve just southwest of Hamilton. I actually don't know what treaty territory it is. My ignorance, I will do research. But Rich Francis, he was on Top Chef Canada or something like that. I don't know, Master Chef Canada maybe. Doesn't matter, whatever. He's a chef and he's brilliant, and he is working a lot on doing reconciliation and bringing in the concepts and the cultural concepts of food and First Nations knowledge to food and the art of bringing people together. So yesterday he posted something. There's a voice that doesn't use words. Listen. And that just struck a chord with me. And I thought, yeah, that's like that. Yes. Oh, you are so smart. You put your finger on it. You put it into words, what I feel, what I am unable to put into words. And so if you want to follow him, by the way, he is RF Cuisine on Instagram. He's great. He's also the guy behind Red Chef Revival. So you could do a YouTube search. His whole series is on YouTube. It's great. Bringing in some of that ancestral indigenous knowledge into cooking and food preparation. But there's also Johnny Appleseed is a book by a guy named Joshua Whitehead, who he's a First Nations trans person from Manitoba, I believe. And he wrote the book Johnny Appleseed. I heard him speaking on Sheila Rogers' radio show on CBC and maybe 2 years ago. And he was talking about fierce listening. And he said, and I name check him every time I say the word fierce listening. So he was talking about, when here we are in our current day and age, and we listen to give answers, and we listen so we can hear where we can insert ourselves into the story. We listen for us to know how we're going to get into that. He says, we've lost the art of listening, and by listening, I mean fierce listening. Listening just to listen. Our grandmothers and our aunties and our mums, these were his, I'm paraphrasing what he said, they would have told us stories, and we, as children, would have just listened. We would have listened just to listen. And the more I thought about this, I thought, that whole concept of fierce listening, that's where you can start. Fierce listening on so many levels. What is your body telling you is one of the ways that I think of it. But the act of fierce listening, much like Rich Francis will have said, there's a voice that doesn't use words. Listen, that concept. The energetics, getting in touch with your intuition, I think is a part of it too. Like there's so many ways that you can think of this. So if this strikes a chord with you, I'd love to hear from you. You're welcome to put a note down below. You're also welcome to just listen to listen. I'll tell you, some of these concepts are what we weave into the Eating with the Seasons class. And I just opened registration today. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll drop a link to the information in the comments below. If you're watching this on Facebook, I'll drop it in the comments below as well, but I posted about it earlier today. But we're bringing in that sense of fierce listening just to listen and to listen to different voices, not just the people talking and not just staying in our heads and cerebral stuff. We're bringing in that gut feeling and tying ourselves into the web of nature, but the web of our ancestors, and weaving ourselves back into the tapestry of it all. And that's the kind of stuff that we're doing in that Eating with the Seasons course. So if this is something that strikes a note with you and you're finding you're struggling with fatigue and with low energy levels, this could possibly be a place where you could light something. You could light a candle somewhere where you need it lit. That could be one of your venues of, yeah, this actually resonates and feels good for me. So I'll drop that information there. Now, if fatigue and energy is still going on for you, yeah, I work one-on-one with clients, so I can support you in any way you need it. So I encourage you to reach out. And if you're not sure whether you'd want to do the 6-week group class, what it looks like, or working one-on-one, because fatigue is starting to really take its toll, then just contact me and let's just chat for free. No, like nothing. There's no, you're not held to anything. Really, it's free. And we'll talk about it. And you tell me what you're looking for. I'll tell you what I have on offer. And then we'll see how we can hold each other up. Because we're all in this together. Like we're really not separate. I really want to hammer that piece home. We are all in this together. So I'm glad you're in my circles. Thank you for tuning in today. If any of this resonates or you think could be of benefit to someone who's struggling, I encourage you to share this with them for sure, because I'm only sending love out there. Okay, I wish you all a lovely Tuesday, and we'll see you next week when we tackle another way to think about fatigue and energy lulls and how to support that work. Take care, everybody. Salut. À bientôt.